The name Ferrari evokes speed, passion, and prestige. Today, it is one of the most powerful symbols of excellence in automotive history. But long before the prancing horse roared through racetracks and city streets, it was nothing more than a dream in the heart of a poor Italian boy named Enzo. He was not born into wealth, fame, or opportunity. His story is not just about cars, engines, and championships. It is about obsession, pain, ambition, the unstoppable drive to turn struggle into supremacy. This is how a poor Italian boy created a Ferrari. Enzo Anselmo Ferrari was born on February 20, 1898, in the city of Modena, Italy. His family was not rich. His father, Alfredo, ran a small metalworking shop that supplied parts to railways. Enzo grew up in a modest home, far removed from the glamour he would one day be associated with. From an early age, he developed a love for racing and machinery. He was only 10 years old when his father took him and his brother to a motor race in Bologna. That moment changed everything. The sound of engines, the smell of fuel, the sight of speeding cars, it entered his blood and never left. But life did not remain innocent and full of wonder for long. By the time Enzo was just 18, tragedy struck. In 1916, both his father and older brother passed away from an influenza outbreak. Within months, his family's business collapsed, and the comfortable, if simple, life he knew was gone. The weight of grief and financial pressure forced Enzo to grow up quickly. He was now the only man left in the family, and survival became his main focus. With the world at war and few options in Italy, Enzo joined the Italian army in 1917 during World War I. He was assigned to the 3rd Mountain Artillery Regiment, but during his service became seriously ill with the same influenza that had killed his family. He survived, but only barely. The illness left him weak, and he was discharged from the army. When he returned to civilian life, in post-war Italy, the country was shattered and jobs were scarce. Enzo was broken and without a clear path forward. But even then, one dream still clung to his heart: cars. He applied for a job at Fiat in Turin, Italy's largest car manufacturer. But they rejected him. That could have been the end right there. Many would have accepted it as a sign and moved on. But not Enzo. He went to work for a smaller company called CMN, or Costruzioni Meccaniche Nazionali, as a test driver. It was not glamorous. It was not what he wanted. But it was a foot in the door. And he made it count. By 1920, Enzo began racing for Alfa Romeo, one of Italy's most prestigious automotive brands at the time. He was a solid driver, competing in numerous races throughout the 1920s. But while he enjoyed the thrill of racing, something deeper was growing inside him. He was more than just a driver. He was a thinker, a planner, and most importantly, a builder. He began imagining what it would be like to run his own team, to build his own machines, and to take control of his own legacy. It was not about glory, it was about creation. In 1929, Enzo finally made the leap. He founded Scuderia Ferrari, a racing division that operated under Alfa Romeo. The name, Scuderia, means stable. In Italian, a nod to the prancing horse symbol that would later become world famous. His team prepared and raced Alfa Romeo cars, and under Enzo's leadership, it quickly became the largest racing team in Italy. But then the world changed again. In 1938, Alfa Romeo brought racing operations back in-house, and Scuderia Ferrari was dissolved. Enzo was offered a position at Alfa, but something inside him snapped. He did not want to work under someone else's vision anymore. He wanted to create his own cars, his own engines, his own empire, but a contract clause prevented him from building cars under his own name for 4 years. So he waited, patiently, strategically. And then in 1947, the first car bearing the Ferrari name, the 125S, was built in a modest workshop in Maranello, Italy. This was the true beginning. The car had a V12 engine, a bold move for a company with limited resources. But Enzo believed in power, in sound, and in soul. He believed cars should make your heart race before they even moved. And that philosophy carried Ferrari forward. But Ferrari's path was never smooth. The company faced constant financial struggles. After all, Enzo was not a businessman. He did not care about selling more units or growing profits. He cared about winning races. Ferrari existed for one reason: competition. He poured all of the company's energy into building race cars that could dominate Formula One. And in 1951, Ferrari won its first Formula One Grand Prix at Silverstone. In 1952,
it's the start of the 1952 German Grand Prix. There are plenty of good drivers in the battle, and everyone's got a chance, so long as they don't lose anything on the way. Up in front, it's a duel between Farina, number 102, and Ascari.
The legendary Alberto Ascari gave Ferrari its first world championship. It was a statement to the world Ferrari had arrived. Now, let this sink in for a moment. Enzo was a man who had no formal education in engineering, no wealthy backers, no corporate empire supporting him. What he had was vision, and that vision pulled greatness out of chaos. That is what separates dreamers from creators. Enzo Ferrari did not dream of being rich. He wanted to conquer speed. Yet that pursuit came at a cost. Enzo was known for being ruthless. He pushed drivers and engineers to their limits. He often ignored commercial opportunities in favor of racing. Even when his road cars became popular with wealthy collectors and celebrities, he considered them secondary to the real mission. To Enzo, the road cars existed only to fund the racing team. He once said, "The client is not always right." He was not interested in pleasing customers. He was interested in building perfection.
Vidi una fotografia, mi dissi, perché un giorno non potrei anch'io essere un pilota d'automobile? E tutti gli atti sono stati una conseguenza di questo sogno della...
And behind that relentless drive was deep personal pain. Enzo's son Dino Ferrari suffered from muscular dystrophy and died in 1956 at just 24 years old. Dino had been working with his father on engine development and was being groomed to eventually take over the company. His death devastated Enzo. He never fully recovered. After Dino passed away, Enzo began wearing only black and rarely appeared in public again without dark glasses. Many say that everything he built after that was an attempt to honor his son. The cars bearing Dino's name became a separate line, smaller, lighter sports cars that allowed Enzo to experiment with different designs while keeping his son's memory alive. Even today, the Dino line holds a special place in Ferrari history, not because of its specs, but because of its story. Through the 1960s and 1970s, Ferrari grew, but continued to struggle financially. Competing in Formula One is expensive. Enzo refused to compromise on quality or performance, so the company constantly teetered on the edge. By 1969, he made a bold decision. He sold 50% of Ferrari to Fiat, Italy's industrial giant. This move brought in the cash Ferrari needed to survive, but allowed Enzo to retain full control over racing operations. That was the only part he cared about, and he kept running it until the day he died. Enzo passed away on August 14, 1988, at the age of 90. He died quietly in Modena, the same region where he was born, in the same country he had represented with pride for decades. Just a month after his death, Ferrari won the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. It was a perfect tribute. Today, Ferrari is one of the most powerful brands in the world. The prancing horse is a global icon, but few remember the man behind the badge. The boy who walked through war, illness, rejection, and heartbreak. The man who turned pain into performance. Who treated every engine like a beating heart and every car like a work of art. Ferrari's modern luxury, its status, its global appeal. None of that was part of Enzo's goal. His obsession was with excellence, not excess. Ask yourself, how many people are willing to suffer for what they love? How many would push forward when every door is closed, when every plan is falling apart, when every friend has left? Enzo Ferrari did. And in doing so, he created something timeless. Not just a brand, a legacy, a spirit. You see, greatness often comes not from talent or wealth, but from obsession. Enzo was obsessed. He was not easy to work with. He was not always kind, but he never settled. And that is what makes Ferrari more than a company. It makes it a philosophy. If this story stirred something inside you, then you need to hear about another automotive legend who changed the world in a completely different way. Ferruccio Lamborghini, a tractor maker who dared to challenge Ferrari himself. Watch that next and see how rivalry forged another icon